All right, let's talk about something other than quarterbacks. Let's talk about last week's game. You and I always email each other during games. You were appalled. And I think what was interesting, the Niners gave up 7 touchdowns, 42 points. They couldn't do anything, no pass rush. They really felt the losses of their injured players. But there was more than just being outmanned. They were out schemed, and you saw it immediately. Can you explain to people like what exactly Sean McVay did to Robert Saleh?
Well, okay, the bottom line is by using the multiple tight ends formation and aligning them together side by side, whether you put a wing with 2 guys or a wing with 3 guys, 3 tight ends to a side, he stretched out the whole defensive front of the 49ers horizontally. He presented more gaps for which the Niners would have to count in the box than if he played with a conventional tight end and 5 linemen. So by lining up with 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends together, all of a sudden it's A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap, E gap. Now, the bottom line is, how are you going to align defensively against that configuration to be able to account for all the gaps? And so if they have 9 in the box and you only have 7, you're in trouble. If they have 9 in the box and you only have 8, you're still short 1. So, Robert obviously, not only did he not, I hate to say it, it's like the players and even the coaches reacted and responded like they'd never seen this formation before. And like they have never had it in a walkthrough, they never practiced against it, and even if they would have put it on cards and used trash cans or whatever, if they didn't have a scout team, at least Robert should have walked them through what we're going to do if they come out with this personnel grouping and this alignment. Here's what we want to do on the field and make the adjustment at the line of scrimmage if they come out in an unusual formation. And they had plenty of opportunity to adjust during the ball game. And yet I remember watching a snap, and I think I indicated to you, I look at the tight ends from the Rams, and they had the wing Y set up where they had the tight end on the ball and they had another tight end. And I tell you what, there was nobody in a 49er uniform aligned over the wing set. They had free access up to the secondary level, 7 yards off the ball, without any defensive lineman or a linebacker over those 2 or 3 offensive players. And I mean, you're just allowing them to just have free access for a 5 to 7 yard gain before they even have contact with the 49er jersey.
So it's not that the Niners couldn't even defend it. Like they weren't prepared. They weren't getting lined up correctly. I think it's interesting. The Rams have had a lot of success with this personnel grouping the last month or so. The Seahawks have been having success with it all season. And it seems like, one, if you don't honor it, they'll just run you over. Like the Seahawks, they beat the Cardinals by a bajillion points, throwing 12 times. So they can do that to you. And if you do honor it, then they can sort of, like what the Rams did to the Niners, pass out of those sets and target your worst linebacker, Luke Gifford, and just hit him for 20-yard pass to tight ends you've never heard of. How do you match up with this? Do you use nickel personnel but load the box? I mean, what do you do?
Well, I've seen opposing teams in the past, when you go with an offensive personnel grouping of this nature, they go to a 4-4 scheme where they bring in a 4th linebacker. They only have 1 wide receiver on the field. You've got 3 tight ends. Well, they don't need to be so light in the box by using secondary players against a 255 or 245 pound tight end. So therefore, bring in another backer, take out one of your corners. You want to keep your strong safety in the game. Keep 1 corner to cover the wide receiver. In this case, whether it's Puka Nacua or whomever, Devontae Adams, you got him. You got the free safety. You can cheat a little bit to give you a combo coverage on the single receiver side, but then you're going to commit the other 9 players to the box to play that, extended horizontal formation, which the Rams in this case were displaying multiple times and having success with it.
Well, the problem with the Niners going to like a 4-4 front is that would mean they'd have to play rookie linebacker Nick Martin, who they absolutely refuse to play. It's the strangest thing. They took 2 players in round 3, Nick Martin first, Upton Stout second. They love Upton Stout. I don't know why. He's a good tackler, but he gets beaten coverage all the time. They're okay with it. They want him to learn on the job. Nick Martin, they cannot stand. As a former NFL coach, what does that tell you about Nick Martin or them?
I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching that ball game on Sunday. The Niners were not getting any pressure on Stafford. Okay, now tell me this, since you're like, the quality control guru, Nick Martin allegedly runs like a 4.5, correct?
Faster.
Yes. Okay.
Faster.
Now,
4.4.
Okay, now here's something that is going to sound crazy to you. In a third down pass rush situation, I would take Nick Martin, put him on the field as an edge rusher against the weakest offensive tackle that Arizona Cardinals have. I would shift the defensive front, the other three linemen, away from Nick Martin so that the line has to slide to the three bigs, and that would leave Nick Martin one-on-one with an offensive tackle. I say, now, Nick, you run at least a 4.5, okay? You don't have a lot of rush. He had sacks in college in Oklahoma. I tell you, he had more tackles and more tackles for loss in the Big 12 since 2018. And this guy was up there, 160 tackles, 60-something tackles for losses. He had sacks and everything. I would have polished him up and gave him a couple pass rush moves and say, okay, speed is your biggest asset. Line up on the outside, get yourself in a wide 9, a ghost 7 alignment on that offensive tackle. I want you to come off the ball 100 miles an hour, use your speed, bend and dip your hips, and use a speed rush and blow by that tackle. And just to see if I can utilize a skill that he has. And then we'll see what happens from there. Teach him a swim move, teach him a rip or whatever. He's only 5'11 and a half. But I tell you, I've seen, in fact, the Rams years ago, when they used to jump into the 46 defense in nickel situations, they had a safety on the end of the line of scrimmage rushing the quarterback, a DB. So you don't have to use a defensive lineman or a linebacker, it's just.
I mean, a lot of the time, Robert Saleh's using Upton Stout as that edge rusher off the side on third down. Why not Nick Martin?
Yeah, I mean, come up. You got to utilize your personnel. Okay, if you're four rushers, if you don't have a defensive lineman who can play on the edge and win for you, you've got to go to plan B. You've got to have something else. You've got to have, more opportunities to be successful to give your team an edge.
I think it's brilliant. Rather than just lining up Sam Okwanu on the edge on third down, knowing he's not going to win at all, throw some speed out there. I like it.